The sun was sinking low over Fort Riven, a military base nestled in the dusty plains of Nevada, casting long shadows across the training yard on a blistering August evening in 2027. Clara stood in the center, her faded gray t-shirt clinging to her skin, surrounded by a ring of recruits whose jeers cut through the dry air like shrapnel. A sergeant, his face twisted with a smirk, bellowed, "Take off your shirt, or prove you're not a spy." The crowd hooted, their laughter sharp and cruel. "What's a civilian like you doing here? Show us your credentials on your skin." Clara didn't flinch. Her hands, steady as stone, gripped the hem of her shirt. Slowly, she lifted it. The yard fell silent, as if the air itself had been sucked away. Her back was a canvas of scars, jagged lines like cracked earth, burns dotting her torso like a map of forgotten battles. A massive, stitched gash ran across her shoulder, held together by glinting surgical wire. A half-burned tattoo on her arm whispered a single word, "Raven." The recruit's laughter died. Even the sergeant, Captain Marrow, froze, his boots scuffing the gravel as he shifted uncomfortably. Then General Holt emerged from the barracks, his broad frame cutting through the crowd. His eyes locked on Clara's scars, and his face paled. He snapped to attention, saluting her with a trembling hand. "She's the last survivor of Raven's Hollow," he said, his voice low but heavy, like a verdict. The recruits stood motionless, the air thick with the weight of a truth they couldn't grasp. Clara had arrived at Fort Riven that morning, her canvas backpack slung over one shoulder, a crumpled assignment slip in her hand. She looked worn, dark circles framing her eyes, her dark hair tangled from the desert wind. The guard at the gate, barely glancing at her papers, sneered, "Logistics intern? You here to scrub floors?" A group of recruits nearby chuckled, their boots gleaming in the dawn light. Clara handed over her slip without a word, her gaze steady. The guard tossed it into a bin. "Move it, darling. Don't waste my time." As she stepped through the gate, a lanky recruit blocked her path, kicking a pebble toward her. "Dropped something?" he taunted, his buddy snickering. Clara picked it up, slipping it into her pocket without a glance, her silence unnerving him. His grin faltered, and he stepped back, unsure why her calm gray eyes made his skin crawl. She kept walking, her sneakers crunching softly, each step deliberate, like she knew exactly where she belonged, even if no one else did. Inside the main building, things escalated. Captain Marrow, his chest heavy with medals, blocked her path, his voice booming through the hall. "You think you can waltz in here dressed like a drifter?" He snatched her assignment slip and tossed it into a trash can. "Prove you're with the Defense Department. Show us what's under that rag." A female officer, Lieutenant Vance, leaned against the wall, her sharp eyes sizing Clara up. "What's a girl like you doing in a place like this?" she said, her voice smooth but laced with venom. "You think you can play soldier?" Clara's shoulders squared, her voice low and firm. "I'm not playing." The room went quiet, the soldiers' smirks fading. Clara's hands stayed still, but her fingers curled slightly, as if gripping something unseen. "You don't want this," she warned, her voice barely a whisper. Merrill laughed, but it was hollow. "Oh, we do. Show us." Before Clara could respond, a nervous clerk, barely 19, shuffled forward with a clipboard. "Ma'am, you need to sign in," he stammered. Merrill waved him off. "She's not signing anything until we know she's legit." Clara took the pen, her handwriting sharp and deliberate. The clerk's face paled as he read her name, backing away like he'd seen a ghost. "That's her," he whispered. Clara's eyes flicked to him, just for a moment, and something in her gaze made the room feel smaller. Slowly, she lifted her t-shirt, revealing a tight black undershirt. The recruits leaned in, some curious, others uneasy. Marrow pushed harder. "Keep going. What are you hiding?" Clara's hands paused, her voice soft but chilling. "You'll regret this." Then she lifted the undershirt. The room froze. Her scars told a story of torture, barbed wire gashes, precise burns, a stitched V that gleamed like a warning. The word Raven, burned into her arm, was a scar in itself, a relic of a mission erased from history. Marrow's smirk vanished, replaced by something like fear. A young recruit's voice cracked. "How is she alive?" Another, older, with a scar above his eye, pointed. "She's not human. She's a weapon forged in pain." Clara let the undershirt drop, her movements slow, practiced, like every motion hurt. "I'm not a weapon," she said, her voice cutting through the silence. "I'm what's left when power forgets mercy." General Holt burst into the hall, his presence like a thunderclap. His eyes found Clara, and for a moment, he looked haunted. "Clara Vane," he said, saluting again. "You're still here." He turned to the room, his voice steel. "Anyone who disrespected her today is done. She's a legend." Outside, recruits whispered by a supply truck. "She's a plant," one muttered. "A test to make us look bad." An older soldier, his face grim, shook his head. "She's no plant. She's the one they left behind at Raven's Hollow." Marrow, now pale, stammered. "She's a ghost. No clearance, no record." Clara adjusted her backpack, her voice even. "I don't need a badge. My existence guards what your files can't." Holt stepped forward. "She's the reason you're alive today. You'd better learn to respect that." Clara walked toward the control room, the soldiers parting silently. At the memorial wall, she paused, her fingers brushing a named Lieutenant Marcus Vale. Her hand trembled, just for a moment, before she moved on. In the control room, she handed Holt a small device. It beeped, projecting a holographic display. Code black. National asset. Level 0. Immediate execution authority. Holt's shoulders sagged, the weight of her power sinking in. Outside, a black SUV waited. A tall man stepped out, his presence silencing the yard. Clara's husband, a figure whose shadow alone commanded fear. He took her backpack, his hand brushing hers. She slid into the passenger seat, her face calm but tired. As they drove off, a soldier with a limp approached. "I was at Red Forest, after Raven's Hollow," he said, his voice rough. "Thank you." Clara nodded. "Keep going." The base exhaled as the SUV vanished. Marrow was discharged, his locker cleared. A recruit's video of Clara's scars went viral, his career ruined. A journalist, her hands shaking, uploaded the footage, whispering, "She's a reckoning." Clara didn't know, didn't care. She leaned against the window, her hand on her husband's, the scars hidden but ever present. She'd walked through fire and returned not for glory, but because she chose to. What do you think? Should Clara have revealed her scars to prove herself, or was her silence enough? Are her scars a badge of honor or a burden she shouldn't have to carry? Drop your thoughts below, hit like, and subscribe for more stories of survival and redemption.